All right, hey everybody, we are live on the internet here. Surprise! I didn't put out on LinkedIn or anything like sign up for the thing, but I'm joined by the thing. That's what this is.
That's what they call me sometimes.
No. So everybody knows I'm not functioning on a lot of sleep currently, so this is going to be a really fun interview. It's like the only thing that would make it more interesting is alcohol.
Well, maybe we can wait a few hours.
We can wait a little bit. Hey, if you're watching this live, can you let me know in the comments if you can hear us? I think you should be able to hear us, but if for some reason you can't, that would be super helpful to know. And also, if you got any questions, we're connected to the hotel Wi-Fi, so it might be a little bit choppy. But if you got any questions, please feel free to chime in. You can watch us on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. And we're a minute in, and I have not introduced my esteemed guest, Sir Charles MacLean.
Wow, what a title!
That's not your official title?
Well, I haven't been knighted yet, so I'm hoping that'll come in the near future. But it's thanks for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Perfect.
So, yeah,
I love it.
I love it. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's Charlie MacLean with ASL Print FX. You want me to get into a little bit of an intro with the company and all that right now? Or?
Well, first of all, so you are in Canada, as we call it.
Yes.
And we have Juma is watching from the UK currently. So, hello, United
Fantastic.
Kingdom,
part of the Commonwealth.
Yeah. So maybe they have an angle on how you could be knighted. I don't know. Letting you know, you might want to play this one cool. So would love to hear a little bit about, kind of yourself and a family company, right? And
that's right. Yeah. Work with my dad, also known as, also goes by the name of Charlie MacLean. So I'll take you through the company history a little bit. Our company is called ASL Print FX, founded in 1965 by a guy named Mike Adam. Small business at the time, played a lot in sort of industrial, household product sectors, oil and gas, and then really took off in the 90s when pressure-sensitive labels became more widespread, more prominent. So the company experienced some growth then. And in 2004, when he was nearing retirement age, my dad and his business partners bought the company, came in, so 2004, so what is that? That's 19 years ago, almost now.
Now you're asking me to do math.
I know.
I gave the whole disclaimer. I'm tired.
I jumped into math all of a sudden when I should have avoided it.
Jeez, it's times pi, I think. There's
3.14.
Yeah,
that one.
Yeah.
So they came in 2004, rebranded pretty quickly, and retooled. They really wanted to get into the high embellishment area of print and really go after a lot of the wine and spirits markets that are there. So that's what they've been doing. I've been fairly successful at it over the last number of years. Myself, spent most of my career in consumer packaged goods, working for companies like Coca-Cola, Kraft Heinz, McCain Foods. And then as my dad and his partners started to, I guess, get a little older and be interested in maybe other things in their lives, we started talking about succession. So discussed things for about a year or two, and in 2018 joined the company, which was very exciting to me. A huge learning curve coming from a different industry.
Right.
But the last 4 to 5 years have been incredibly rewarding for me, both professionally, learning a new career, new industry at this stage, and also working with Dad. It's been incredibly rewarding personally as well. So it's gone really well, and very excited about the last few years, but about the future as well.
So I will say, I got to interact with you and your father just a little bit was that in Phoenix?
I think we met in Chicago.
No,
originally.
Chicago. Yeah, it was in Chicago. And you both have such a fun dynamic. I can tell, I'm sure that you've argued.
It happens.
I'm not saying that you've not argued or that things haven't been difficult, but you can tell there's a love and a respect there between both of you that I think is really cool. So Let me touch one question on your background. So you kind of you alluded to these small startups, Coke and Kraft Heinz, and
Yep.
Not McLean Foods, right? It's McCain Foods.
McCain Foods,
no,
which
no
is,
relation.
It's known a little bit more in Canada as a brand, but they do a lot of the frozen potatoes.
Yeah.
Frozen, down in the U.S.
I think they have an office in Chicago, I want to say.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
So what was your role there? And then maybe talk about how that has prepared you to get into, like, you have to work with labels and packaging.
Yeah, so I was predominantly on the sales side when I was working in consumer packaged goods, managed large retail formats. Loblaws Company Limited, which is the biggest grocery retailer of Canada, managed their business for about the last 5 or 6 years of my career in CPG. So coming into a smaller, medium-sized business, different industry, we have about 90 people, 80 to 90 people in our company. Really tried to bring a bit of the process, of a large company without losing sort of that mid-sized business feel that we have. So it was about bringing in some of what I had learned, on the sales side, and being part of a larger organization and how people interact and deal with each other in that organization. And then applying it to ASL. But a lot of it was learning. I came in with things to offer, but I was, certainly the first couple of years, it was all about learning for me.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes a ton of sense. What does ASL stand for?
So it used to the company used to be called All Stick Label.
All Stick Label.
All Stick Label, and when they rebranded it in 2004, they did a bunch of studies and testing and decided to kind of keep that history.
Got it.
The ASL, but wanted to modernize the name. So All Stick Label became ASL Print FX.
Got it. And you have how many locations?
So our main facility is in Toronto, Canada, or just north of Toronto.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. That's it's a great city. You've been there before.
It's just a city?
It's a city.
US, like, our geography is like, there's just Canada.
It's a village north of the border.
It's somewhere near Vancouver, I think.
Well, I'll talk about some places you may be a little bit more familiar with. So our headquarters is in just north of Toronto, but we have 2 other facilities. One in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
Okay.
And then the other one in Napa, California, right in the heart of wine country, which obviously aligns with the markets that we play in.
Yeah. So you have a facility in North Carolina. It's March Madness.
Yeah.
How much do you or do your employees, like, because I would imagine if you're in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, you probably love college basketball.
That's a fair assessment.
Probably love Wake Forest, but maybe you came in from, Durham or Raleigh or, Chapel Hill, right? So do you have like a March Madness bracket in your company?
It's a small group down there. There's about 7 or 8 folks. So
okay.
If we're gonna get into basketball, I'm gonna be a little bit out of my depth here.
That's fine.
I'm being from the Great White North, I'm more aligned on the hockey side of things. But I don't know if there's any pools going on there. But
okay, all right.
It's a great team, and
I figured I'd shoot my shot. See what I did there? I mean, you know who I met, actually? So the All-Star, I'll connect it and then we'll reel it back.
Okay.
So the All-Star weekend was in Salt Lake City, which is where I live. And I was outside of the celebrity game because, they bring in celebrities and they play basically a pickup game of basketball. And we're waiting for the bus, and I'm there with my son and the super fan from Toronto. The guy wears a 95.
Yeah, literally has super fan on the back.
Super
of
fan, number 95. He just waltzes right in front. Like, it's like me and my son and this guy. I was like, hey. He's like, hello. I'm like, I know you don't know me, but this is weird. This is awkward.
So you knew him before you saw him. You knew about him.
Oh yeah, I'm a big basketball. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Is that right? Yeah, I believe his name is Nav Bhatia.
Oh, see, I didn't even know his name. I know he's super fan.
Yeah, and I might be stretching a little bit here, but I believe he owns a car dealership or a number of car dealerships in Toronto.
Okay.
And I know as of a couple of years ago, his claim to fame is I don't believe he's missed a game.
No, he's not.
Yes, it's the Toronto Raptors inception, and I think to the point where they gave him a championship ring when they won the championship.
They did.
Yeah, back in, was it 2019?
Check off that on our podcast live LinkedIn bingo. Like, talk about Superfan in Toronto. Okay, so you got Toronto, you've got Napa, you've got Winston-Salem. But Toronto's that's the main.
That's our headquarters. It's our main production facility. Really started out of there, and then North Carolina probably opened up about 25 years ago, well before my time and even my dad's time. But it's a great operation there. And then Napa. Napa is really, we started about 5-6 years ago as a sales office down there. Wanted to break into the region. And then from there, we put down a prototyping machine, which has kind of been a big part of how ASL has, worked on business development is through prototyping, which a lot of converters do now. But I think at the time it was fairly new, in a way that we could really get in, more upstream with our customers, in the design phase. We don't do any creative. But once they have ideas for their labels, for their brands, we can use our prototyping equipment to really give them different ideas, and not just looking at a brand on screen, but seeing it on paper, seeing it on label, being able to apply it to a bottle. And then from there, as we started to grow, our customers told us they'd really like to be able to come to a press approval in Napa if possible. They didn't
want to go to
They
Toronto?
didn't want to fly to Toronto. I mean, maybe once is okay, but there's a time change and it's a long flight from San Francisco. So we put down a Domino inkjet press, hybrid press down there, probably about 4 years ago. Got our production team rolling, and it's been a bit of a wild ride ever since.
And is it the Domino? Because I know Domino makes their own hybrid press, and then Domino also has like the inkjet engine, basically for, I think it's Mark Andy and MPS and some.
Yeah,
others.
so it's a Domino MPS that we have down there. So 4 Flexo stations on it, and we're able to do really a ton of work. I mean, almost anything that you can do from a Flexo standpoint, we can do on there.
Yeah.
And then we have some finishing equipment with helps with some of the embellishments that we do as well. So it's been an incredible success for us. We had a bit of a setback during COVID. With travel being shut down, it was very difficult to get from Canada down to Napa. So part of our strategy was really bringing our process to that operation. It grew on its own for a while, but when it gets to a certain size, you like to bring your processes from your sort of your main locations to those satellite locations, and really, it was an initiative that we called One ASL. It was having same culture, same type of production mentality, sales strategy throughout the organization, and the team down there did an incredible job through those couple of years where travel was really restricted. But I'd say it slowed our development a little bit. But now that we've been back, it's been rock and roll for the last 12 months basically.
Yeah,
and it's really exciting. It's an incredible growth engine for us. Allows us to get very close to customers down there. And even our customers up north like talking about Napa a little bit too, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a fun conversation to have when you're in front of the customer.
Plus, I mean, having to go to Napa doesn't suck, right?
It's not too bad, I'll tell you. I handle our Toronto facility. And my dad is we kind of divide and conquer. He's down in Napa a lot of the time.
Got it.
If you ask him, he'll downplay it. He'll be like, well, it can get cold down there.
Come on.
After a couple days, he likes to use this analogy. He goes, it's like Vegas. He goes, after 2 or 3 days, you're ready to go. But I think he's just downplaying it, so the rest of us don't get too jealous.
Okay, listen. To anyone listening or watching, Napa is nothing like Vegas. Napa is way nicer than Vegas.
It looks a little different. It looks a little different. Yeah.
Vegas exhausts you. I mean, Napa may be retired from all the great wine, but you can hang out in Napa it's got a cute little downtown area.
Yeah. Well, and he does. He doesn't come back after 2 or 3 days.
Yeah, get out of here.
Like I said, I think he's trying to keep the rest of us.
Come on, Charlie.
Keep our jealousy in check.
Yeah.
So that's okay.
That's awesome. And I think I mentioned this to you before the call, but so we're here at the TLMI converter meeting, and it was you and Tara, forgot her last name. I know she's from Kentucky, Steinhauser, right? She's from Steinhauser, and then John Wynn and from Fortis. And one of the things that you had mentioned I think there was a question about, was it growth or I don't know. Like I said, I'm really.
If you tell me the answer, I can tell you the question.
The answer was hybrid printing, and so you're kind of hinting at that with the Napa press.
Yeah, I didn't touch on it too much, but it's kind of, you know, been the direction that we've gone.
That's what the question
Yeah,
was.
and we've
The
traditionally
next
been,
3 to 5 years. That's what it was.
that was it. That was it. What
Nailed it.
investments are we looking at over the next 3 to 5 years? And so we've traditionally been a flexo printer, so Mark Andes, Gallus presses. And over the last 3 to 4 years, starting with the Napa investment, and then we also put an inkjet in our main facility up in Toronto. We've really moved that way in terms of technology, and I see that, you know, that's where the industry is going over the next several years. So we talk about future investments. You know, essentially with a hybrid press, you're going to be able to do everything that you're doing with Flexo now. So I think people have made their investments in Flexo, and they'll run through the life cycle of those presses. But really, everybody, even your traditional converters, are looking at hybrid, looking at inkjet. And I brought up the example when we met in Chicago.
Yep, at Label
You
Expo.
know, yeah, you walk the floor and there was no conventional presses there.
Zero.
Right. So it's all inkjet, it's all hybrid.
Or digital. I mean,
or digital, which we don't play in so much. We more partner with some digital guys who are able to help us out there. But that's the future of the industry, you know, and that's where it's going. And so we're trying to stay on top of it as much as possible and learn what we can about the technology. And we've got some great partners who are educating us and helping us take those next steps. And I think, you know, as you look at where a lot of companies are going, I mean, we can go back to the large sort of CPG or your Cokes or your Crafts of the world. The number of SKUs on shelf are only increasing. Right. Yep. So long setups, long runs with a Flexo press. There's still a place for that, certainly. But I think as you look to grow with larger customers, you know, you need to be able to do short, more customizable runs. And there was even a question if you're a smaller printer, I mean, that's absolutely what you want to do, right? You want to be able to get in with either smaller companies or larger companies and start with their smaller brands. And you're going to be able to need to do a lot of those shorter runs. Your setup time's a lot less. You know, your waste factor's a lot less. And it's just, it's been a very profitable investment for us.
I feel like because I've worked now at 3 companies that have had the hybrid presses, right? And from various different manufacturers. And I think the thing that is so great about them is that it's not only kind of the being able to be nimble, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can just turn it on and run the inkjet, but then for the really color critical brands, you know, you can hit Pantone colors, you can do cold foil on. I mean, there's so much power in this,
absolutely,
in this press. And in the format of hybrid, I'm really excited to see that even continue to grow. I don't even know if it's in shrink sleeves or flexible films or folding cartons or, you know, but it's like that evolution, I think, of bridging sort of like traditional, whether it's litho, flexo, and digital into one press, I think is really fascinating.
I mean, the repeatability of it all, you know, and how that leads to quality was always very appealing to us.
Right.
You know, so there's a lot of work to do to qualify different materials, to make sure you get your colors right with it. But once that formula is set, really, I mean, it's very repeatable.
Yeah.
And for us, we found coming off of that press, our inkjet and our hybrid, you know, our quality standards have gone even higher.
Do you find yourself walking around, because I do this, like I'll pick up and you kind of run your finger over the label and you're like, oh, that's a hybrid. That's a hybrid label right there. I know.
Yeah.
I know that one. I know how it feels.
Yeah, we have
gotta make a call there. It looks like I'm calling up ABC Vitamin Company.
Yeah, you can sometimes you can tell, that's for sure. And I mean, like my wife and my dad's wife, they get tired of going to dinner with us because all we're doing is running our hands over wine labels on the bottle, picking away at it, trying to figure out what it is. And it's an addiction. You know, you get into this industry and you're constantly trying to figure out, like, okay, what's the construction that went into this? What kind of material is it? How difficult do you think that was? I don't know. So it's
so bad.
Yeah, I know. So it's it sometimes dominates the dinner conversations there, but that's okay. That's the nature of the beast.
Yeah, I can't go to Costco. I can't go to any store.
Well, I see you. Yeah, you got your phone out too, and you're uploading content, and it's just
Man.
You can't get it off the brain, right?
No,
So I guess-
no. No, it's actually maybe a more healthy way that I get it off the brain, because it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to make the content. I'm going to move on, instead of like
You send it, you put it online, and there it is. So it's out of your head for the most part.
until the next one,
Until the next
until the
idea.
next day.
Yeah. Well, I see with the amount of content that you're uploading, it is daily.
It's pretty wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
So last question for you. First of all, thanks so much for coming on. Also want to give a shout out to our guy, Brandon Gomes, who just recently started working with you guys. He and I met up in Toronto. He told me to go get some poutine. I did it, but I went to Buffalo Wild Wings, which is apparently a bad idea. I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
Did you
But
find that out afterwards, or was that?
well, it was just there. It was the one. I was like, looked on my phone. I was like, where do I get poutine? It was like Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm like, I feel like this is like going to get like
It's a bit
like
of a shortcut.
salad
It's a bit of a
at
shortcut,
Burger
yeah.
King. You're like,
That's right.
I don't know if I would have done that, buddy. So I got to go back there. But Brandon's a great dude. So thanks for coming on. And how do people get in touch with you or learn more about what you're doing at?
Yeah, well, aslprintfx.com. Check out our website. We're very proud of it. We've got a great marketing team who's been working on that, and hopefully you can find us at the top of the Google search page. We worked a lot on SEO over the last few years.
If they Google search ASL Print Effects, I would hope that you're number one.
Good call. Good call.
But
you know what? Maybe try some other
Okay,
things
all right,
in there to see if we're at the top of the page. But yeah, thank you for having me on. And it's incredible. I mean, you've become so well known, you know, within the packaging industry. So it's a real pleasure for me to be on here. And yeah, I think it was at TLMI in Phoenix last year where you said, I know a guy, his name's Brandon Gomes. I'm going to put you guys in touch. So we did get in touch, and he joined the company about 2-3 weeks ago, doing a great job. I think he's still chasing down that first sale, but hey, 2-3 weeks in, that's early on in the process, and he's been a bolt of energy in our company. So really happy to have him aboard, and yeah, it's been fantastic being on here.
yeah, for sure. I'll send you my invoice.
Great, thank you. Yeah. I thought I was doing it the other way around.
Oh yeah, no. We'll just call it a wash. We'll call it a wash.
Well,
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it.